Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Paul Brown Show. This evening is going to be an exciting show. I have to my right Miss Cora Hilliard, and I have Miss LaRonda Scott. She's the State Executive Director of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And Miss Hilliard, she has a very about her son that she lost due to drunk driving.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Scott, tell us a little bit about Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Well, Mothers Against Drunk Driving is the largest nonprofit organization that's working to eliminate drunk driving. It was founded in 1980 by another mom who made a commitment to bring an end to it because she lost her daughter. Her daughter was on her way to a church outing and was sadly hit and killed by a drunk driver, and she stood in her daughter's bedroom then and said, "I'm going to bring an end to this." And she rallied other mothers, other individuals that had a passion the same as hers, and created the organization, and we've been working to save lives ever since.
What do you believe has been Mothers Against Drunk Drivers' greatest achievement since you've been in office as state director?
One that, that's most important for, I will say, here in North Carolina, is that we've gotten the closest that we ever have to changing a law, to where we're working to see ignition interlocks be required for all offenders, whether it's their first time or not. And where we are right now legislatively is the closest that we've been, and we're hoping when we come back in the short session that's something that we're able to bring to fruition, to where we can get just one more step closer to making our roads safer, and our ability to increase the number of victim survivors that we're serving. We served over 25% more over last year, and we continue to let people know about our free services and how we can be of support to them in their struggle to deal with how drunk driving has affected their family and even themselves as a person living with an injury. And we continue to serve the community. We've brought on new partners in our mission. We're serving more schools or reaching more parents, and just reaching out to individuals to be a voice to victims who no longer have a voice.
That's awesome. Ms. Hilliard, tell the viewing audience a little bit about your story and your son, the loss of your son.
Okay, it started March 1st, 2009. My son was working for Bojangles. He worked on Cotswold area, and he caught the bus to come home. He lives off Billy Graham in Jackson Park. It's a community that young people get a chance to learn how to budget their money and how to save. That took up a night. He missed the bus, the one that come early to take him home. He caught the bus right at 2 o'clock in the morning. He rode the bus down West Boulevard, and at the time they had Boulevard Homes that was there, and that was the last stop, and he got off. He actually got to Billy Graham, crossed over into the media, and by him crossing over to the media, it was two young ladies, Lakiba and Naomi Wheeler. Lakiba was the person that was driving. We found out by them investigating, they killed my son. Detectives found out that they were drinking and driving from one part of Billy Graham to the other part of Billy Graham. I am nervous.
Yes, ma'am.
Take your time.
Actually, when they came over, they were swerving back and forth, back and forth. Naomi had too much to drink. It was her car, and she said she couldn't drive. So Lakiba got behind the wheel. What was told to us by the police department is that she swerved over into the median, and she hit Jamil doing 55 miles per hour. threw him 160 feet on the other side of the median. She kept going on the path where she hit him, and she ran over his head and kept going. That morning, they watched the news. It was like, they hit him like 2:17, 2:18 in the morning. They both watched the news and saw that they hit Jamel. So they decided, instead of calling for help, they decided to go to Freedom Drive to where Bank of America is. And the next parking lot was I'm sorry, y'all.
It's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Where AutoZone was. And they went in AutoZone. They had a video of them buying a tarp to cover the car. Actually, the detective knew what type of car it was because the headlight and the bumper was laying out there with Jamel. And they couldn't figure out why they couldn't find the car. It took them 2 weeks to look for that car. And they decided, well, we need to start going to different body shops and see if anybody left that car in a body shop. The third body shop they went to, they found the car. The owner, they asked the owner who owned the car, and he told them there was a lady car. She brought it in because she hit a deer on Billy Graham, and she didn't use the insurance to fix it. She wanted to pay cash for the car to get fixed. So the owner of the body shop didn't throw the parts away at all. They kept them because they saw blood and flesh in the motor. So it was just an act of God that Naomi came in when she did. And the detective checked the car and took the parts of the car that they had and the parts that they took off from the body shop, and it matched. And she walked in and wanted to know how long it was going to be before she get her car. And that's when she got arrested.
How were you notified? Did they contact you by phone to come to see you? And how did you handle that?
Actually, I was at work. I work for Bojangles too. I was at work. They actually contacted my husband first, and he said it wasn't an easy way for them to say it. They just said, "Is your son named Jamel Hilliard?" And he said yes. And they said, "Well, he's dead." That's how they told them. And he was so upset, so angry, and he could not believe that Jamel was gone. So they asked where I was, and he told them that I work at Bojangles on West Boulevard in South Tryon. And it was hard to believe. It was very hard to believe that he was killed. I mean, I just could not believe it. And actually, his sister-in-law was at our house, and she came up to the store, and I just told her, "Stop lying. He's okay, stop lying." And she looked at me, she says, "Ma, he's gone." And as I seen the expression on her face, to see that she wasn't playing, I just screamed. I just hollered. I could not believe my baby was gone. He was a good fella. I mean, he was young. He was 22 years old. He worked for Bojangles. He went to CP College during the morning and worked for Bojangles at night to take care of his family. He had 2 children, 2 small children. He had a wife. She was 19. Jada was 4 months. Aaliyah was maybe about a year and 3 months. He had his whole life worked out. He was supposed to go in the Army in July. And sometimes you just can't believe that you raise a child the right way. He lives the right way. And he loved the Lord. You just can't believe that your child is dead. I could see if he was one of those street kids out in the street selling drugs, doing things that he shouldn't have been doing. And he was none of that. He was a young man striving to take care of his family and give them a better life. That's why he was going in the Army.
How do you, well, let's say this, Ms. Scott. I know you see situations like this on a regular basis. How do you deal with family members who lose a loved one to drunk driving? How do you handle that?
Well, you know, personally for me, in meeting families like the Hilliards and hearing their story and the story of so many, for me it just it pushes me more and helps me understand how important our mission is, how important it is for us to be a voice and find every possible way to get the message out there, whether that be opportunities like this or being out in the community. It just drives home how important it is to increase awareness. But as an organization, that's what we were founded on, in terms of, yes, bringing an end to drunk driving, but we want to support the victims and their families that have been affected by drunk driving. We support individuals that have been injured. We offer emotional support to the families, the survivors, help them in terms of referrals, because there are a lot of needs. Every needs from physical needs as a result, if they are a survivor, and the injuries that they sustain as a result of it. Emotional needs, because as a mom, you know, I can't imagine what it feels like to go what Miss Cora has experienced. And I told her earlier, I admire her strength and being able to give her son a voice, because he no longer has that voice. So we want to be there and help them to get the services that they need. If it's a matter of counseling or understanding the court system, navigating the court system, taking advantage of victim compensation, whatever that is, our victim advocates are there to provide that type of support. Because I can only speak from what they have told me. It's an emotional roller coaster from the time it is experienced, and it continues on. There's no timetable to say, well, after a year, 4 years, 6 years, 10 years, that you get over it. It gets easier. I believe she will agree some days are easier than others, but you continue to remember. And MAD is there from the beginning, and we have a number of families that we continue to work with, and it's 10, 12, 20 years after it has happened, but we continue to be there for them.
That's great. That's great. Cora, take us to the courtroom, and what type of sentence did the individuals get for taking the life of your child?
Actually, in the courtroom,